All right, welcome to Rocky Mountain University's live Facebook event for our DMSC program, our Doctor of Medical Science program. We've had a lot of interest and a lot of questions about what this program is and the benefits that it can have, and so hopefully today we can kind of get those questions answered that you guys have. We have a panel of experts here, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. And we have a lot of questions that typically get asked, but feel free to join online and ask away. We do have our program director, Dr. Bartley Rust, along with some other faculty that will be answering those questions live, and we'll also try to get some of them answered here today too. So don't be shy. Definitely put in your questions. We want to make sure that we're getting the questions that you guys have answered. But first, let me kind of go through this panel and have them introduce themselves, who they are, and kind of what their credentials are. But we'll start there, and then we'll get asking the questions that you guys have. So we'll start here.
Okay. My name is Mike Nelson. I am the department chair for PA Studies here at Rocky Mountain University of Health Professions. That is also overseeing the Doctor of Medical Science program. I am also the program director for the Masters of Physician Assistant Studies here as well. And so I'm excited to be here and to hopefully answer some questions and talk about why this degree is important and why PA should be jumping at the chance to get it.
Cool. John?
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Baird. I'm on the faculty of the entry-level Master of Physician Assistant Studies here at Rocky Mountain University. I'm also a physician assistant myself, and I am going to be a student in the Doctor of Medical Science program.
My name is Mace Hamblin. I am a principal faculty member for the Doctor of Medical Science program. I have spent the last 11 years in PA education as well, mostly in the Master of Physician Assistant Studies realm as a clinical coordinator and director of clinical education. So I'm excited to be a part of the DMSC program.
So yeah, we have a variety of people. We have faculty, we have department chairs, we have incoming students. So hopefully together we can get a lot of different perspectives and answers for your questions. So let me introduce myself. I should start with that. My name is Jeff Tolley. I am one of the Doctor of Medical Science program advisors, admissions advisors, and so whatever doesn't get answered today, please contact me. I'll definitely tell you how to get a hold of me at the end of this, and we can schedule a personal one-on-one chat to kind of get anything resolved that isn't answered today. Okay, so, but feel free. We want to get as much questions answered today as we can. Okay, so I also am tuning in. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to send them our way. Okay, so let's get started. Mm-hmm. Obvious question. What benefit does a Doctor of Medical Science bring? Why would someone be interested in this program, and what benefits do they get? Mike, I'll give that one to you.
That's a large, broad question, which I think will get more intricate as we go through this. But really, where the DMSC here at Rocky Mountain University started was probably 4 or 5 years ago when we were trying to see where the PA profession was heading and what we could do to help bolster PA's access to different leadership possibilities, how we can further their career, and looking at healthcare in general and what was going on. So really as a PA, and I've been a PA for about 11 years now, and worked in family practice and specialties and education and different clinics from Iowa to Utah. But what I struggled with was, as soon as I got into the clinic, realizing how much of an employee I really was. And I felt like I could do more. I felt like I had good ideas, and my ability to problem solve and work on projects just wasn't being fulfilled. So I started looking for a doctorate program myself and started a Doctorate of Health Science program that took me over 4 years to finish and complete. with an emphasis in leadership and organizational behavior. That has opened so many doors for me in so many ways that I never thought was possible. But going back and thinking, as a PA, we go through so much school as it is, many programs, well over 100 credits. We have the skills, we have the knowledge to be out there and doing so much more. I also saw plenty of job offerings offering for nurse practitioners, PAs, and seeing how different areas in allied health, as well as nurse practitioners, PAs, there's been a degree creep, and PAs have done that from a certificate to a bachelor's to a master's degree, and it seems like we're kind of lacking behind. Now, that's a totally different discussion than what we're going to have today and where that should go. But what this degree can do is offer us more. It can develop our skill sets so that we can go into a hospital setting, clinical setting, public health setting, healthcare setting in general, and have an effect for change in the positive. Whether that's through education, whether that's through administration, whether that's through advanced practice, different avenues that we can add a skill set to us. Now, think about what that really means. That means if our degree happened to go to a Doctorate of Physician Assistant Studies, a DPAS, what would that do to change your practice? Nothing. Not much. Okay? But what if you brought another asset to the table saying, yes, I do medicine and I do it well, but I also have the skill set that I can teach. So I can do in-services, I can do adult education. That works really good with employment medicine. What am I trying to say here?
CME offerings.
Yeah, CME offerings. It opens up the option to start doing presentations and really that skill that you need to present and to be an educator. It opens up options for you now to sit on an administrative board or work on those projects throughout the clinic as a valued member because you have that other asset. The kicker here too is if I showed up with a CV that said DPAS on it, a lot of people will say, okay, you guys creeped up just like NPs, and now they're DNPs, and you guys are DPASs. I'm just using that as an example. I love my DNP friends and colleagues. They're really close. But does that change anything? Now I show up with a MPAS and a DMSC. People say, tell me about this DMSC. I don't know about it. That opens up a door for you then to talk about your skill set and how you bring something more to the table than being a PA alone. So that increases your ability to be an asset for that company that you work for. That helps secure your employment too. So
I like that. And you brought up something that was interesting that kind of leads into the next question. I mean, obviously there's a variety of interest in where you could take this degree, right? And I know we have here at Rocky Mountain University have 3 different tracks as to where someone could take this Doctor of Medical Science degree. We have a healthcare professions education track. We have a healthcare leadership and administration track, and then we have just advanced clinical practice track. So I kind of want to dive a little further into those tracks as to why someone would choose one over the other, or what benefits you can get from those. So I want to direct this next question to Mace. Who is targeted by, or what kind of benefits would someone get for those interested in the healthcare leadership and administration track? Kind of tell us a little bit more about that track specifically.
Right. So the healthcare leadership and administration track is directed to any PA who has an interest in pursuing leadership opportunities, whether that's in the clinic or in the hospital setting. Any PA with an interest in those opportunities would get benefit from this track. As a person who's been in PA education for 11 years now, and I'm not a PA, I feel that I've had some exposure as kind of someone looking in on the outside, that PAs need these opportunities to be leaders, to advance the profession, and to be a benefit and an advocate for their colleagues. And I've seen many PAs take on more leadership opportunities that can be augmented by a degree like this, and a concentration in leadership. And so really any PA with an interest in, as Mike said, sitting on an administrative board, taking on executive roles in their organization, being able to be in a position to advocate for the profession would benefit from the leadership and administration track.
So kind of, in a sense, as the PA profession is growing, it just allows you to stand out and to, in a sense, be more marketable, be more competitive, and have that leadership as the profession is growing. You would have that opportunity and open doors that you might not have before.
Increased marketability, and it puts you at the table with key decision makers in the organization. So PAs will benefit from having PAs at that table where decisions are being made.
Cool.
John brings up a good point. I've had talks with him, and he brings up the point that this is a rarity. And so it's a way really for a PA to have that uniqueness and that rarity working for them for an advantage.
And to dovetail on your comment, Mace, when you're talking about being at the table, I've been involved heavily in the state PA organization here in Utah, and I've learned real quickly that the old adage is true, that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I think that we could certainly poll our colleagues across the nation and find that where they, as PAs, haven't had a say, whether you're talking legislatively, corporately, or otherwise, that it's been a disadvantage to them. And I think that having this kind of a credential helps to provide that opportunity to put them at the table.
Even in the small type clinics, right now, my supervising physician is, it's me and him in the clinic. And one day a week, because I'm at the university the other 4, but because of that credential and because of what I've been able to do, he brings me into the meetings and marketing meetings and what should we do here and planning meetings, and it really feels like now I am part of the team, just not the medical team, but the business team and the aspect of growing this, and it's actually more career fulfilling for me.
Cool. I like that it opens so many doors. Moving on to the next track, John, you said you were an incoming student for, I think it's the healthcare professions education track. Why did you choose to do that, and how do you feel that you going through that track specifically will benefit you?
Okay, so there's actually a few reasons that go along with that. So I'm coming into my 10th year now as a practicing physician assistant, on top of the other years I've spent as a allied health professional, specifically an athletic trainer. And in that time, I have always had my eye on a doctoral degree. The question then becomes is, which one? And to be honest with you, I haven't found the one that really satisfies what it is that I'm looking for. So let me kind of go through what I was looking for. Number one, and Mike kind of teed this up for me already, is that most people beyond their bachelor's degree who say that they've got 120 or some odd hours, credit hours, we usually call them doctor. And so the MPAS, as it's found across the country, is usually the hardest doctoral level master's degree out there. And so I think, number one, the thing that attracts me to the DMSE offered at Rocky Mountain is that the way that it has been structured is it gives acknowledgement to the work that I've already done. And we can get in, I don't even want to get into the discussion about whether I'm not looking to be called doctor. That's not what this is about. I would like to have the academic record reflect, I think, accurately the work that I've done, and I think that this accomplishes that. I could care less if people call me doctor, just call me John. Second thing that I was looking for is I did not want just more of the same. And Mike, I think, has addressed that already in terms of where the entry level should be. And so I really appreciate the fact that Rocky Mountain has a strong entry level Masters of Physician Assistant Studies and is committed to that going forward, just as the profession is. I think by doing that, it strengthens any doctoral degree offering that anybody's going to put out there, because it's not required for people to get it. Therefore, it is, number one, scarce, and number two, not everybody has it, and it means something more. It says something about the person who has gone through the effort to do it. The third thing then is that what I want it to mean. I want it to be value added. So because it's not just the same, I'm going to be getting something I didn't get in my past graduate studies. We didn't train me to be an educator. As we survey the landscape right now, there are 230 some odd programs accredited right now in the nation, and all of them, if the numbers are to be believed, are probably about chronically one faculty member down, to say nothing of the 60 plus programs that are in the queue to be accredited now, all of them who are going to need full-time faculty members. So there are hundreds of PA educator jobs on the horizon, and there is no currently there is no defined career path from the clinic into education, and it is desperately needed. And one of the things that we're seeing around the country is that educators, people who want to move into education, transition from the clinic, and in the first year or two burn out because they were not mentored, they were not educated, and they were not supported in the way that they need to be in order to be successful educators. And so what do? They go back to the clinic, which is fine, and they're great clinicians. But what we need is we need their expertise in the classroom as well. And so I feel like this is the opportunity to, be, properly mentored into the profession. And the other thing to acknowledge with that as well is that being in education, there is a hierarchical structure that goes along with that. And with only a master's degree, I will be limited in terms of my ability to advance and to progress as a professional in the world of education. And so when you look at what is offered in terms of the degree, what it means, and ultimately it was really a no-brainer that this was the doctoral degree that I was looking for. And I just happen to be blessed that it's here in my backyard.
Especially with the profession growing so crazily, there definitely is that need for educators and whatnot. So last track, so we've addressed those that are looking for leadership positions and kind of having that voice on the table, and we've addressed those that are interested in transitioning into the education side of things. But what about this final track of advanced clinical practice? I mean, what kind of advancements do they get? There's some people that are just happy being in the clinic. So what benefit does it give those that just want to have more training in their clinics?
We thought about this when we were developing the advanced practice track, because you got to be careful here, because some people might say, is that going to advance my practice enough where I'm no longer required to have a supervising physician?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That is not, that, as John says, that's a government issue. That's a legislative issue to change that. But that's not the goal of this.
And we're not pushing that.
And no, we're not pushing that. But what this is to say, yes, there's people that could care less about administration. There's people that could care less about going into administration. But medicine is where I live, and that's what I eat and breathe and love to do, and that's where I want to concentrate my efforts. And so how can we do that staying within the realms of being a PA? And I think we've come up with a great solution here, and that's which was hard to develop as a curriculum, but what we came up with is something that is very adaptable, moldable, and very specific and individualized to the person who is interested in this track. So let me give you an example. It might be better to describe this in examples. When I was first in practice, I was in family practice. And of course, everybody else in that clinic can do what I did. And so it didn't really set me apart. But what I was able to do was work with my physician to come up and develop a skill that was needed. Not that there wasn't any other doc or PA or MP in that clinic that couldn't have done what I did, but I was the one that came up and said, let's move forward with this. And it was silly. It was simple. I was just out of school. It was as simple as doing ABIs, ankle brachial indexes. And that seems really easy. You can do them in a couple minutes, but I made a form. I added a Doppler ultrasound to it. And next thing I know, I had 5 or 6 patients on my schedule almost every day, referred from other docs in that clinic just to get that study done. Okay? So I became an asset, and that's kind of silly. Now, when I went to orthopedics, what I noticed was that not very many of my colleagues were actually doing intra-articular hip injections. So I asked my supervising physician, my surgeon, would this be something that would benefit our practice? That we do all the time. We get referrals to do diagnostic hip injections. Not very many PAs are doing them. He said, sure, let me train you up on the fluoroscopy bit of it and teach you how to do this. I'll monitor for you for a few times, and as long as we're doing okay, I'll turn that whole thing over to you. That's an asset. I just became something that that surgeon in that clinic didn't want to do without now. And being a physician assistant in Idaho, Idaho has like a half-page sheet of bullets saying what's in the core practice scope for a PA. If I wanted to do anything outside of that, I have to do the training, get an affidavit signed by my doc, get that turned into the state, and then I can do that. So this is a way for PAs to pick something and say, this is what I feel I could do. This is what I feel might benefit the practice. And they don't have to stop there.
Right.
We're teaching them the skills on how to do it, and we're opening up the door with their administration and with their supervising docs. If you go to them and say, I'm doing this for a class and it's going to benefit and only add productivity to our clinic and to our bottom line, once you're done with that, move on to a different skill that you want to hone. And it doesn't have to be out of your scope of practice. It just has to be something that will benefit the community, benefit your career, what you like to do that's enjoyable, and become an expert in that. So coming back to Utah, I do a lot of ultrasound guided things. And now I have the skill from that, from doing this all under x-ray and fluoroscopy to now I do those injections in a clinic using ultrasound, which now we're getting referrals to do diagnostic hip injections using ultrasound. And it's paid off now for me in a hospital setting, in a clinic setting, and I've become that asset that I keep talking about, saying, goodness, if Mike leaves, that means that other providers need to fill that gap, or we've got to find somebody to fill that gap, and that's going to take time. So,
Mike,
Yeah.
can I dovetail on something you said there? Because
Sure.
you were talking about becoming an expert. And, you know, this is, and I want to word this carefully, but when we talk about advanced practice clinicians, you know, they're practicing a high level of care.
right.
But at the same time, the method that we use to determine whether or not they can practice, the board exams administered by the NCCPA, those are not designed to evaluate maximal competency.
Right.
Those are designed to evaluate safe minimal competency. And so really, if you get a room full of people with the PAC designation, what you have is a room full of people who, at minimum, are minimally competent. What we're looking for now is, where's the credential that says, I am an expert? And I think that that's one of the things that this degree helps, you know, offers and distinguishes, and says that essentially I can walk into that, you know, whatever room, and, you know, and be the guy or girl who, you know, can speak at length and with expertise on a given subject matter.
Yeah.
And that's a good point too, because you know, Mike gained expertise in those skills, being in that place at the right time, where that door was able to open up for him. But for a PA that's out there that has good ideas for a practice and would like to implement those, sometimes those doors open for you where you can gain those skills even without a doctorate degree. But the good thing about this degree is that this program, through coursework, facilitates the opportunity for you to go out and open that door and to speed up that process and say, I'm going to pursue this. And you can complete projects in these courses that will allow you to gain those skills perhaps quicker than you would if you just waited for that door to open.
Right.
So let me just say now, ABIs aren't easy just for everybody. I mean, I don't even know. I had to write down ABI just to even remember the acronym. But I thank you for that. It helps you just kind of hone in some skills and become experts and whatnot. So we've talked a lot of great things about the specific tracks and why you would do this degree in general. And we don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I just want to address a few more things. So this program it's completely online. It's kind of a two-part question. I kind of want to address this one to Mace as one of the principal faculty. What resources would I have doing the program since it's completely online? I know you guys are on site and we have some other online faculty, but what resources do they have? And then what can I expect each week for, like, in terms of workload if I was to do any of these tracks kind of thing? So maybe just to touch on the logistics of doing the program. We've talked about why, now let's talk about how.
Okay. In terms of resources available, yes, it's completely online, but the learning management system we'll be using, Canvas, has a great support system where if you have issues with the learning management system, they have 24/7 support. You have a great library staff here at RMU that can help you in terms of seeking out scholarly literature when you're writing papers. We have a great writing center. We have full-time faculty on campus with the DMSC, as well as a lot of remote faculty. And so you've got the resources available to you even though you're not here on campus. In terms of workload, I went through a Doctorate of Health Sciences degree program over a 2-year period, and you could probably expect around 1 hour per credit hour that you're taking. So if you're in 2 courses in one semester, there's 6 credits, you're going to be about 6 hours per week. If you're in 9 credits, you're about 9 to 10 hours a week of writing, discussion posting, and those sorts of things. And so it really is designed around someone who has a full-time job. I went through mine working full-time, and it's manageable. Yeah, it does take some of your evenings. It does take some of your weekend time. But if it's meaningful to you, it's well worth it in the end to sacrifice that time in the beginning. And we've designed it in such a way that would not overwhelm your schedule. You still have time to live a life outside of academics.
Yeah, and we have a comment, just so everyone sees it. It's like, in addition to it being completely online, this program is asynchronous, so it doesn't require you to be, tuning in at certain times. We know we have everyone from different time zones, and so you can complete the work anytime, day or night, from wherever you are, and so that's just another awesome benefit that you guys have put into this program as well. So thanks for that. Let's just do a few more questions. So you kind of touched on how they're going to do it with posts and forums and there's no tests, right? Am I right?
This is mostly forum work, writing some papers, doing some reflections, maybe some group work. You have some practicums in there, which is how you're going to work on, say, the advanced practice point of view or track. And then, honestly, like May said, if you're taking 9 credits, expect 9 to 10 hours a week, but that 9 to 10 hours is filled with reading up on the chapters and making the posts, responding to posts, working on a paper. There is no exams. Once you get into graduate work, a lot of times there aren't exams or very few exams, because this is using your expertise and showing what you know through those projects.
So you would say that this degree is doable by the working, busy life PA whose life just doesn't stop.
I did this as an orthopedic PA, not this, but I had mine was a little over 70 credits for a DHSC. Took me 4 years to do, and I did that working on average 60 hours a week. So yeah, put the kids to bed. I'd spend an hour or two reading the book while my wife was trying to talk to me and associating with family and writing papers sometimes at lunchtime. I mean, it's doable.
So you said on average, if an hour per credit, per week, but how long did we anticipate this program taking?
So we have 4 sections, 4 semesters to do it in. That is the integrated model. We also have a phased model, which has 2 phases, basically didactic phase, then we move into the practicum and an applied scholarly project, and that's another phase. So you can do phased and kind of do didactic first and then that work later, or we have an integrated phase where you can start them all together and work through.
And it kind of just depends on how much time you have
Right.
during the week. If you want to kind of do it all together with the project, then great, or you can split that up
Right, you can
and
do
just
that.
kind of
You can
spend
split
less time each week because it's in the different phases.
And that's the phase model. It takes 5 semesters.
Cool.
So that's what you can do it in. Now, some people might think that that's pretty quick too. And there are options there to go 1 semester longer to finish up anything that you need to. But ultimately, you have a couple years, I want to say 7 years to actually finish the degree in its totality.
So you can dial back if life's just come at you pretty hard.
Right.
Cool. So yeah, with Rocky Mountain University being a year-long program, there's 3 semesters in the year.
Yeah, a year long and 1 semester.
This program is, in a sense, can be done in a year and a half or less if you
Yeah,
if
16
you did
months.
it right. Well, that's pretty cool. Sign me up if I was a PA.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of logistical questions like, well, how much does it cost, and is there financial aid? Is there scholarships? Like all of these things, I would love to schedule time with you guys personally, because I know everyone's situations is different, and you might have more individualized, personalized questions. So. At the end of this, I'm going to hope to post a card of mine in the comments section. You can definitely reach out. But honestly, if you go to our Rocky Mountain website and end up on the Doctor of Medical Science page, within a couple seconds, there's going to be a box at the bottom right corner that says Meet with Us. And my schedule will pop up. You can choose the time that works best for you, and I will call you at that time, and we can kind of hash out the specifics of your individual questions as to kind of getting all the logistics as to how do I get ready for this program. So definitely reach out to me. We'd love to kind of get the ball rolling. We have a cohort that is starting up in May, so just a couple weeks, and then we have a fall cohort as well that starts up in September. So we're really excited to kind of get this ball rolling and get it going, and so we'd love for you to be a part of Rocky Mountain's Doctor of Medical Science program. But as your questions come up, please reach out to me. With that, is there any other final words that you guys have to share about this program, or just about Rocky Mountain in general, Rocky Mountain University?
If there are any prospective students out there wondering about the university and about online programs, this university has spearheaded some of the original online programs in different aspects of medicine. So we have a track record of this. We do it very well. We analyze, we collect data, we make sure that we are doing it well and that our students are successful. So it's a great university, geared only towards health professions, geared towards advancing healthcare and advancing that knowledge. And so I'm proud to be associated with it. I really am.
Yeah, everything at this university is healthcare related, and it's graduate level. So they've been doing it for a while, and they're doing it great. So, with that being said, I mean, we're excited to field more of your questions and to get talking with you. Again, reach out, get onto our website, check out the tuition and everything, and as your questions come up, don't hesitate to ask. So, but we want to thank you for tuning in, and thank you guys for joining us today and answering these questions and whatnot. So, with that, we'll say goodbye to you guys and hope to hear from you soon.
Good night.
Night.